Welcome to Moscow, the imposing cosmopolitan capital of Russia. The country's history and art stand side by side on every corner. Remnants of a Soviet communist era remain, while today's Russia is rich in culture and confidence. Formula E's race cars provide a modern echo on these historic streets. The racetrack, on the banks of the river Moskva and on the edge of the fortified Kremlin, built in 1485. The dazzling St. Basil's Cathedral and iconic Red Square provide the race with a beautiful theatrical backdrop, as one of the world's most influential nations has its say on the championship's destination.
Only 3 qualifying sessions left to go this season, and this first one is going to take place in front of the Kremlin alongside the Moskva River, a stunning location for round 9 of the FIA Formula E Championship. My name is Jack Nichols. Alongside me in the commentary box is Dario Franchitti. We've got Nicky Shields down in the pit lane as we look at what will be the start line with the Moskva River there on the left-hand side, the business district in the far of the picture. And this has certainly been a very entertaining racetrack in the 2 free practice sessions we've had so far today. And I think it's going to be an incredibly tight fight, as it always is in Formula E, for pole position. Air temperature 18 degrees, slightly cooler actually than free practice 2 earlier on. Track temperature 27 degrees, humidity's up a bit at 48%. But there is St. Basil's Cathedral on the right-hand side, built by Ivan the Terrible. Between 1555 and 1561 to celebrate the capture of Kazan and Astrakhan. And then this is up at the square, which is up in the top right-hand part of this very bumpy, very challenging circuit, Dario.
Absolutely, definitely a track of 2 parts. We've got the 2 long straights separated by turn 1. Up through turn 2, the undulations start, quite a big lump into turn 2. 3, 4 and 5 is 1 corner. Through 6, very, very bumpy up the hill into the chicane in turn 7. That's massively bumpy up there. A lot of the guys have said it reminds them of the Macau Street course race. Through the chicane there, very, very tight. Start heading downhill past St. Basil's. The kink in 10, there's a bump right where you don't want it. And then through the next kink, just as you start braking for the first of the 2 hairpins. Very challenging spot. I think in the race, that's where we're going to see a lot of action.
So the finish line here is slightly different to the start line as we look back towards the Gostiny Dvor, the old merchant court there, which is now an exhibition centre. It was reconstructed in 1979 by Jimako Kwarengi, who's prolific in St. Petersburg more than anywhere else, but a wonderful site to be racing past. And there's a chicane there. Through there in that gap is Red Square, and the Kremlin walls on the left-hand side as well. So it really is it's just a crazy location to have a race. Some of the onboard shots looking back at the driver as they flash past St. Basil's Cathedral are fantastic. Here are the championship points with just 3 races left to go. Nelson Piquet 2 points clear of Sebastian Buemi. Lucas de Grassi is 3rd in the standings at the moment as well. Nico Prost in 4th place, Jerome D'Ambrosio 5th, and that pretty much is the top 5 who are in contention really. There's still 90 points to play for, so you know, in theory, the sort of top 10 are still in it, but I think it's going to be, it's not quite going to work out like that, as really it's between the top 3, Buemi, Piquet.
It's theirs to lose, yeah. Isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's the bridge in front of us over the Moskva River. As far as the teams are concerned, it's Edam's to lose as well. 179 points for them. Dragon and Apt having a nice little battle over 2nd position. Just 1 point between the 2 of them, and in 4th place is the Team China squad with Virgin Racing in 5th position.
Most of the teams have proven they can win 1 race, but Edams have been the consistent performer, haven't they? And that's why they're absolutely got a massive lead in the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is St. Basil's Cathedral, and now let's have a little bit of a look around the circuit here in Moscow. It's a really stunning location, and here's a look at the circuit.
So what I'm going to do when I head out on the track here is really try and simulate what a driver goes through in qualifying. Out of the pits, do a warm-up lap, mixture 3, stay in map 3 for the 2nd lap, up to map 6, get full power, 200 kilowatts per lap, Map 3 again, cool the car down, another qualifying type lap, and then cool down lap and into the pits. So try and understand what the driver goes through in these situations, what he's trying to keep an eye on as far as on the screen as well, and have a better understanding what these guys are going through.
Okay, so here we are starting the lap. Coming over the start-finish straight. I'm in full 200 kilowatts mode here. Heading down, up into 4th gear, into turn 1, lightly braking. This was the first point I had to sort of check myself and not try and go too quickly. The instincts were there to go quick, leaving plenty of room on the exit. Back up the box, braking for turn 2 now. Watch this uphill section, makes braking very, very tricky. Through 2, keeping quite tight, setting up for 3, blind into 3 actually, completely blind entry, over a bump, leaving a little on the table, through turn 4, accelerating up, back up to 3rd gear, through 5, up the hill and through 6, really bumpy through here. Look at the car moving around on the bumps, trying to position myself already for braking for this chicane. Rear of the car wants to start coming round, very, very tight chicane, over the curbs a little bit. Missed the apex just slightly there. And setting up again now through these 2 kinks. Bump right there where you don't want it. Quite quick braking now as you're turning though. The back of the car wants to keep coming round to it. The trick is to get it into the apex, get enough lock to get the car turned round. Accelerating back up to this next hairpin. Quite open on entry, the first part, but then keeps tightening all the way through the corner, and that exit wall comes up in a hurry, as Nelson Piquet found out earlier. Here we come down quite a steep hill into the last corner. Big compression right at the apex. Look how wide it is there on exit though. Lots of room to be played with that I didn't actually use. And over the start-finish line to start another lap. And I was quite excited when I got out of the car.
So that was my first run in a Formula E car. What did I learn? As usual, power is everything. 200 kilowatts, felt great. When you went back to 150, you wanted to go back to 200 pretty quickly. The car itself drives like a normal racing car really. Gives you good feedback, slides around a little bit. The thing that's really interesting is you can hear everything. You hear the wind noise going past. Never think nothing's drowned out by the engine. That took and will take a lot of getting used to, but great track here at Moscow, fun car to drive, and it definitely put a smile on my face.
Never seen Dario Franchitti so happy, actually, in the time I've known you. So, yeah, there's a great look around the Moscow circuit. 7 minutes time until the qualifying session gets underway. And the pressure will be on these guys as they head out there, especially in the closing moments of the championship, as Nelson Piquet there sits ready to go. And yeah, it's going to be, we're getting into that pressure stage of the season now, and this looks like a track that it's quite easy to kind of just snatch a break here, hit the wall here.
You know, for us watching at home, we're starting to think, oh yeah, you know, the pressure's on now, it's the last races coming up. All these things have been true though the whole season, and those mistakes they cost the same amount of points when we started off in China, and that's something that people sometimes lose focus on. It's about the whole season, and these guys have separated themselves, but it's because of every single point they've scored, every mistake they have or have not made.
Here's a look at the qualifying groups then. First out in the 5 will be Jaime Alguersuari, Sebastian Buemi, Nick Heidfeld, Justin Wilson and Nelson Piquet Jr.
That group is loaded, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Group 2 will be Sam Bird, Jerome D'Ambrosio, Nico Prost, Antonio Felix da Costa and Daniel Abt, which again is a strong group, but Group 1's got 2 of the championship protagonists in. Duval, Trulli, De Grassi, Vernon, Garcia are out in group number 3. Jarno Trulli took pole position last time out in Berlin, and in qualifying group 4 will be Chanduk, Liuzzi, Senna, Sarazan and Duran. Let's hear from Sam Bird. He struggled earlier on today.
Sam Bird, we saw your right rear tyre come off during practice earlier today. Was it just an error putting it on, or is it something more?
No, it looks like, unfortunately, there's been an issue with the rear right. Some of the fixings have not been doing what they should do, and that's why the rear right wheel came off. That meant that I didn't do any running in free practice 1, and then a throttle sensor issue put end to my free practice 2. So I've done 15% of the running to everybody else, so that'll make it fun going into quali.
And is the car going to be ready for the session this afternoon?
I hope so, but the luck we've had today, something else might happen. I mean, the car might break in half or something in a straight line. So, no, the boys have done a good job. They've put it all back together. Everything, hopefully, will be okay. The problem is, though, Nikki, as you know, you go into a new circuit. Track time is everything, and we haven't had any. I mean, we'll do our best, but you look at the quick guys doing high nines, and it's going to be very difficult to try and achieve that from where we are right now.
I know you were very keen to make yourself get on the podium today, so good luck for that this afternoon.
Cheers, thank you.
It's going to be tough for Sam Bird because he hasn't had that much running. I'm not sure he's quite had 15% of the rest.
He's a racing driver, not a mathematician, isn't he? But you can tell he is really pissed off right now. And it's, yeah, if it could go wrong, it has gone wrong for Sam and the Virgin guys today. So you can see his frustration.
Yes, Sam Bird, very frustrated is perhaps a better way of saying it. Apologies for that. But yes, he will be going out in the second group. We can now hear from Justin Wilson, newcomer to Formula E this weekend, and he's been talking to Nicky.
So Justin, this is obviously very different to what you're used to racing in Indy. How's your day been going so far?
So far, so good. It's been a lot of fun getting used to the car, different way of going about things. But at the end of the day, you drive it like a regular race car. It's just all your senses are slightly different. So enjoying it. About to go out for qualifying, which is going to be completely different. Got more power. You've got to get used to that. Get 2 laps. So hopefully we can, give it our best shot and get a decent time in there.
Fantastic. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Scott Speed on duty at the X Games in Austin this weekend, so Justin Wilson has stepped in after racing for Andretti in Indy over the past couple of weeks, and he's now here as well. Great to have him on board. Tallest driver in the field, yet to do the calculations as to who's the second tallest driver in the field, but a very quick racer as well, Justin Wilson, 2001 Formula 3000 champion, 1998 Formula Parma Audi champion as well. We can now hear from Stefan Sarazan. He's quite tall, actually, so maybe we'll find out how tall he is, but he's looking quick this weekend.
Stefan Sarazan, brilliant result for the Venturi team out in Berlin. Are you on track to do it again here in Moscow?
Yes, this morning we had a very good car. We had a good pace, so we are ready for the quali. It will be tough. Track is very challenging.
What do you think your biggest challenges are going to be today? It's been quite hot over the course of the week. Could battery temperature be an issue? And what about energy management?
It's okay for the energy management in this track. It's not very high consumption, but for the quali, it's very bumpy, and we can lose the car in every corner, so it will be tough. But same for everybody, and it will be interesting. We see.
Thanks very much.
So not very high energy consumption, which is interesting to hear from Stefan Sarazan there, but you can lose the car at every single corner because
I would agree with that.
Yeah, you almost did. But yeah, no. Well, we've seen Loic Duval go off at that corner there earlier on today. He's actually had 3 offs, Loic Duval, hasn't he? Because he had that first off at turn 4. No, sorry, turn 3. He didn't hit the wall and reversed out, and then he went off in the chicane, and then he went off. A little bit later on around the lap. Turn 1, that was it.
He's not had a great day so far.
No, which is a surprise because, very quick racing driver Loic Duval. Earlier on, before qualifying gets underway, Nicky caught up with Karun Chandok. Mahindra looking better this weekend.
Karun Chandok looking very relaxed here, enjoying being in the heart of just an incredible place. I mean, what a street circuit to be racing on.
Oh, it's fantastic. I think it's, you just look behind us, you can't believe we're here in some ways. It's an incredible setting. I think you sampled the champagne last night, I saw. You were in quite good form, Ms. Shields. But I think everyone's really enjoying being here. The track's a bit wild, bumpy. It's a proper street circuit. I think it looks pretty good on TV, hopefully.
Well, I hope you weren't drinking the champagne. Good luck today, thank you.
I don't think Karun did have any champagne because Nicky had it all.
Poor Nicky.
So Q1 gets underway here in Moscow, and Sebastian Buemi is the first man out onto the circuit. It's he, Nelson Piquet, Jaime Alguersuari, Justin Wilson, and Nick Heidfeld that are going to be the 5 men out onto the track as the green flags are waved here in Moscow. Out along the embankment alongside the Moskva River which ends up flowing to the Volga River and then into the Caspian Sea further down the line. And then they turn left up Kitaygorodsky Street, up into the Staraya Square, the old square as it's known. And just up here was the headquarters of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, and now the headquarters of the Presidential Administration of Russia, just up to the right as we look at it now. And then out and beginning to climb the hill up towards the Gostiny Dvor, the old merchant court, which is now an exhibition centre, and it's a very tight chicane as well. We've now jumped back to Nick Heidfeld in the Venturi machine. There's Nelson Piquet out there as well, and Justin Wilson. So a really strong group this, and as a reminder, Piquet is leading the championship just a couple of points ahead of Sebastian Buemi. So having the two of them out in this session is going to be very entertaining. Is there much disadvantage being in Q1?
This track has been one that we've actually seen it get a bit better. Traditionally, with the Formula E tracks, that hasn't happened because of the aerodynamics and the tyres and stuff of it. But we've seen today that the track getting quicker all the time. So this might be a disadvantage here. Obviously, they're going to do that first lap at 150. Again, just to get everything, get the motor cooled down a bit before going to full 200 kilowatts for the next lap. Yes, as one of them said earlier, every corner here is an opportunity to make a mistake.
Yeah, there is Nico Prost, the man who took the first two pole positions of the season. Hasn't been back on pole since then, Nico Prost. And he's only had a second place at Long Beach. They're still just warming up their tyres and getting energy in the car and in the brakes now. And when they go for their full 200 flyers, we'll let you know.
The biggest thing they're trying to do is get brake temperature to make the braking as consistent as they possibly can, because the braking is quite inconsistent in the car. You see, I'll just worry, kind of was a little close the whole time there, and he's backed off now to start the run here in a couple of corners' time.
This is, of course, an opportunity for Sebastian Buemi to take the lead in the championship. He's 2 points behind Nelson Piquet, but you get 3 points for securing pole position. So Buemi could take the lead of the championship if this qualifying session goes well, as he turns now into the final corner on the track, but the timing line is actually just before it. This is then the start line down towards the left-hander of turn 1. He's running at the full 200. It's so open and wide there.
Just caught a little bit of oversteer there on the exit. Let's see how he manages to brake it for this one, because it is very tricky, as we've talked about.
Up towards Staraya Square, into the right-hander.
See how blind it is there on entry? And the drops off over the curb again. They're building the momentum. You don't want to be slow getting to the power. Oh, almost hit the wall there. Watch the bumps. Look at that. Just keeping his foot down. You don't want to be lifting at all there. It's just going to kill your speed. Braking hard for the chicane. Very, very bumpy. Over the curbs again. So far, so good. Watch the bumps here just as he turns into this kink. And then as he gets to the next apex, he's going to be braking already. The back will be trying to come round. Nice, tidy lap so far. Really tidy.
The reference point is a 109.9 that he set in free practice too, Sebastian Buemi. He's been the quickest man so far this weekend. Across the line he comes and goes quicker. 109.826. Quickest lap we've seen from the weekend, straight out of the box. Jaime Alguersuari goes second quickest at 1.1 seconds down. Ow. But what's Piquet got? He's a quarter of a second down at the moment. And we think he made a mistake coming up into turn 2 into Staraya Square. So maybe that's the reason Piquet's not quite as on it as he'd want to be. On the brakes now, into the hairpin. They'll all get 2 attempts at going on their full power laps. Final corner now for Piquet. Where's this going to put him? Across the line, it's going to be second place. 4 tenths down on Sebastian Buemi on his first run.
That's a cracking lap from Buemi, first time out there.
From Buemi, okay, P2, 4 tenths from Buemi.
P2 says Nelson Piquet's radio. Justin Wilson goes 1.4 seconds down on Sebastian Buemi. And that's the first time he's driven this car at the full 200 kilowatts of power.
Well, Justin's going to be doing this lap, and he'll be trying to look in his mirrors, make sure he gets nobody's way, but he's going to be processing, where can I find all this time?
Now, here is Nick Heidfeld, yet to do a full 200 lap, and now he is doing it, coming down into the left-hander. Turn number 1. You can hear the tyres scrabbling for grip as he now comes up towards Staraya Square at turn 2. Moving to the inside there is Wilson, nice and out of the way. over the crest into the right-hander. Very neat from Heidfeld, that.
Quick through there, that looked good.
First sector time is a 22.4, which is reasonable.
Oh, bit of oversteer up through the... He's been taking tips from Piquet, hasn't he, from this morning?
Nelson Piquet was going really sideways this morning. What's he done at the middle sector then, Nick Heidfeld? He is 0.4 of a second down on Sebastian Buemi's time, and he's gone quite close there.
What he did there, went a little too quick through the apex and had to lift for the exit wall, otherwise he was going to have an accident, so he's lost a bit of time there.
Down into the hairpin on the bridge at turn number 11. A little bit of correction as he tries to
take his hands off the wheel, which is really an unusual thing about the Formula E car. The steering rack is quite slow. And there you go, end of the lap, 10.8.
So quicker than Jaime Alguersuari for Nick Heidfeld, but a second back on Sebastian Buemi's time. I mean, what a great lap that was from Buemi.
Spread out, we've seen it for a while. As far as the...
Yeah.
It's been within 10. Oh, here we go.
Alguersuari's on it.
Is he ever?
Into the chicane.
Piquet's on a quicker split too.
Yeah, Piquet's just gone fastest of anyone in Sector 1. Jaime Alguersuari has had a difficult season as far as qualifying is concerned, a best of second place in Buenos Aires, but he's been 14th in 2 of the last 3 races, and he's locked up coming into the hairpin.
That was... Piquet's still on that lap though.
Yeah, the running clock shows he's up. He's up on Sebastian Buemi in the middle sector. So this is looking very, very strong. Alguersuari comes across the line, goes 4th. But Nelson Piquet Jr. is looking like he's going to take provisional pole position away from Sebastian Buemi. Here he is at the hairpin now. Just one more corner to go for Piquet. The championship leader turns into the right-hander. What's this? Where's this going to put him across the line? It's at 109.449, 0.3 quicker than Sebastian Buemi. But Buemi's still got one more shot.
Tidy lap there.
We have to wait now for the others, okay?
We're on board now with Sebastian Buemi, who's a 10th down on Piquet in Sector 1.
He's up against it now. He's going to have to pull it all together. Not only no mistakes, but he's going to have to gain time at every single corner, every braking zone. Tall order.
Nice and tidy through that left-right section. Spoke too soon.
Did he lift? That is the question. He's lost some speed from just the scrub being so sideways.
He's 0.3 of a second down now, so unless he can do something magical.
Yeah, he was too wide there out of the chicane again.
Down into the hairpin comes Sebastian Buemi. It's not a good middle sector, and he's gone very deep into the hairpin as well. So it looks as though it's going to be first blood to Piquet in this qualifying session. Across the line comes Sebastian Buemi, and it's way, way slower than Nelson Piquet Jr. So it's first blood to Piquet in the championship battle. Nick Heidfeld's done a 22.2 in Sector 1, which is not bad.
Désolé.
Désolé, I'm sorry, says Sebastian Buemi. What's Nick Heidfeld doing then? A 22.2 in Sector 1, same as Justin Wilson actually. Coming up to the middle sector now, Nick Heidfeld on the brakes for the chicane, and he's just 0.3 of a second down, so this could close in the gap to Piquet, who's currently in provisional pole position. On the brakes. You really brake right at that apex, don't you, of that second left
You really
kick.
do. Because you're turning, it wants to snap the rear round.
Through the final corner comes Nick Heidfeld, turning into the right-hander and instantly across the line, and it's third place for Heidfeld at 10.098. Justin Wilson's a couple of tenths down on that.
Yeah, personal best through both sectors, which you would expect.
And he goes 4th quickest across the line, just less than a second slower than Nelson Piquet Jr. up at the front. So that concludes all of our runners in this first segment of qualifying.
F4, cool it down and bring it in. Currently P4. Good job.
That's Dave Seifert talking to him there. Recognize that voice?
And he is P4, less than a second down from Piquet. So it's Piquet, Buemi, Heidfeld, Wilson and Alguersuari, which means that Nelson Piquet will be leading the championship going into the race later on. Buemi unable to get the 3 points for pole position.
Watch how tight this right-hander is into pit lane. Oh, he's not going to do it there. He's going to go straight into Parc Fermé, but it's a tight right, and really going to be difficult for the guys in the race this afternoon.
Nico Prost getting ready because he's going to be going out in Group 2, along with Antonio Felix da Costa, Sam Bird, Jerome D'Ambrosio and Daniel Abt. But his teammate Sebastian Buemi not quite able to usurp Piquet. In fact, Piquet's lap time was pretty good, I'd say. To be 0.37 quicker then your championship rival, I think, would on a 1:09 lap is pretty satisfactory.
I would say so, and the point on offer for pole position could come in so handy there. It was almost like Buemi just overdrove that second lap, and the first lap was obviously very, very tidy, just had to gain some time and overdrove it as a result. So Piquet is going to be feeling pretty good about things right now.
Nelson Piquet has yet to have a pole position so far this season. Will he be having his first pole position here in Moscow? Let's find out. He's with Nikki.
Nelson Piquet Jr., we are still yet to see you on pole position, but do you think this is the race when you can do it?
Well, we always try every weekend. Obviously, we're back in our comfort zone, bumpy tracks, narrow, tight corners, low grip, and that's what we like. I think that's what our car is very well set up for. Yeah, we've been close a few times for pole. It seems like we've got a good lap. Obviously, there's still a lot of cars ahead of us, but you know, we'll try our best. I think it was a good lap. Sebastian Buemi is always a good reference. He's had 2 poles, I think, already. So, yeah, looking forward to it. I think, you know, comfortable over here. I love the track, love the place, so it should be a good day.
And obviously, Lucas de Grassi and Sebastian Buemi are just within 10 points of you. Does that make you even more focused to go for the win today?
Yeah, I mean, it's. We need to concentrate. We cannot do any mistakes, and practice was really good. Qualifying obviously showed a very good lap, so we'll just keep doing the same job we've been doing the whole year, and we should have a good weekend.
Thanks very much.
So Nelson Piquet Jr., quickest of anyone at the end of Q1. He's had 2 second places in Punta del Este and Miami, and a 3rd place on the grid in Long Beach, but is yet to take a pole position, and that could all change here. So here's a look at the results after the first segment of qualifying. Nelson Piquet Jr., almost 4 tenths of a second quicker than Sebastian Buemi. Then we've got Heidfeld behind in 3rd place, Justin Wilson 4th, out qualifying Jaime Alguersuari. And I think that'll be pretty satisfying for Wilson to be ahead of Alguersuari, but only 5 runners have been out so far. Q2 about to get underway in a couple of moments' time, and going out in that will be Antonio Felix da Costa, Nico Prost, Sam Bird, Jerome D'Ambrosio and Daniel Abt. So some good contenders in there. Prost has had 2 pole positions so far this season. Jerome D'Ambrosio is the sort of dark horse in the championship at the moment, and astonishingly he's only had 1 top 5 qualifying position, which was 3rd in Monaco. Since then he's had a 13th, a 19th, an 18th, an exclusion. So D'Ambrosio hasn't really had great qualifying performances. Now let's hear from Sebastian Buemi, 2nd quickest at the moment.
Sebastian Buemi, just saw you come out of the car and have a rather agitated conversation with Jaime Alguersuari. What were you discussing?
Well, just my 2nd push lap. I mean, we're only 5 cars on the track, and we managed to block each other. So I find it quite bad, to be honest. But I suppose that's the fault of the team not telling him who's coming behind. The line is the only thing on the track that is properly clean. The rest is all dirty. So once you go offline, you never really recover. And we just have 2 flying laps. So basically, I couldn't have a proper go on the 2nd lap.
3rd last race of the championship. Are you very frustrated by that?
Yeah, I think so, because I think I'm going to lose a lot of positions. So I'm quite disappointed by the fact that I didn't have a proper, you know, go in the 2nd lap. But I suppose that's racing, huh?
Thanks very much.
Buemi and Alguersuari, teammates at Toro Rosso in Formula 1. But now a little bit of a discussion between them after that incident. I don't think we quite saw it, but Alguersuari also was accused of holding up Stefan Sarazan in Berlin qualifying too. So 2 races in a row, Alguersuari's had the wrath of another driver.
Well, Buemi said that we held each other up. I think he means Jaime held him up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so funny that, yeah, as he said, there's only 5 cars on the track.
And these are going to be the next 5. Sam Bird, Jerome D'Ambrosio, Nico Prost, Antonio Felix da Costa and Daniel Abt.
Can Prost rediscover his qualifying form from earlier in the season?
Yeah, since his 2 pole positions, he had a 2nd place in Long Beach, but apart from that, it's been 7th in Monaco, 7th in Berlin, but he's the only man to have qualified inside the top 10 at every race so far this season, and he has never been lower than 7th. So form suggests, we should get a good lap here from Nico Prost as he heads out onto the circuit. And he was reasonably quick in free practice, nowhere near as quick as his teammate Buemi, but Buemi's had a difficult time of it so far today. So we'll see what happens in this next 10-minute session. As I say, D'Ambrosio also a man to watch out for, the man who won last time out in Berlin, and that keeps sort of slipping your mind because he didn't actually win on the track, and it was after the race he was handed the victory because of the disqualification of Lucas de Grassi. You don't really think of him as being a victor, but he was the winner last time out. So whilst these guys are doing their slow laps, just trying to get some temperature in the tyres and brakes, we can catch up with Nick Heidfeld, third quickest after that first session. He's talking to Nicky.
Nick Heidfeld, we saw your personal best result in Berlin. Can you improve on that again today? It seems like Venturi are definitely doing something right in the last few races.
Yeah, it looks that we're on the way up. Now I'm in Group 1 and I'm third, so there are a lot more people coming. The circuit here is rubbering in, so I doubt very much that I will still sit here in the end of qualifying.
Thanks very much.
So third at the moment for Nick Heidfeld. He'll get shuffled down a little bit, I'd imagine, sooner rather than later, as Nico Prost turns into the first corner with Jerome D'Ambrosio right up behind him as they then come up towards the crest at turn 2 into Storaya Square.
So you've got them trying to build their temperature like we talked about, and you'll find they'll start to gap each other a bit as they get closer to the end of the lap. They want to keep tyre temperature and brake temperature to start that lap when they go up to 200 kilowatts.
Up through the right-hander kink and then down towards the chicane. These two are getting very close together, aren't they?
Yeah, now D'Ambrosio's going to have to slow down. Oh, they're both slow, and Prost as well. And Prost's got a clear track, so I'm not quite sure why he's going slow.
Now he's gone for it, I think, Nico Prost, and D'Ambrosio waits for a moment. And none of these guys are flying at the moment, but they will be this time around, I'd have thought.
As Prost exits this last corner, watch out. He's going to turn it up, and off we go.
So here goes Nico Prost across the line now, turns it up to 200, as you can see on the left-hand side there, next to his name. You see it going up to 200, same for Jerome D'Ambrosio. So across the line they come. These are going to be the first two guys to complete their quick lap in this second segment of qualifying. Into turn 1 for Nico Prost.
First guy to really use the inside curb there. Seen anybody else do that? He's 2.5 tenths down though. That's not going to get it done.
In sector 1, which is only 2 corners really, sector 1. And now into the second sector. It seems
D'Ambrosio's a bit quicker, isn't he?
Yeah, he is actually. About a tenth or so quicker. Whoa! Whoa! Goodness me!
He was lucky.
Hanging on to that one.
That didn't snap back the other way a little more. That was. It looks really oversteery, that Edam's car there.
He's 0.6 of a second down. Did he clip the wall on the way out of the chicane there? He was certainly very close, but not looking particularly happy at the wheel of that car. That was like coming through there looked like he was just a total passenger. The car was driving him through there.
Yeah, known as a tank slapper. Those normally don't end well.
So Prost comes around the final corner. It's not going to be a stunning lap time for the Frenchman. 1.3 seconds down, goes quicker than Jaime Alguersuari. Across the line, though, comes D'Ambrosio, who goes third quickest, half a second slower than Nelson Piquet, but out-qualifies Heidfeld, Wilson, and Alguersuari so far.
Da Costa's on a lap.
Yes, 22.3 in sector 1, so not a great first sector from Da Costa. Sam Bird as well. Here he is coming towards the hairpin. Reasonable. He's about 0.4 of a second down on Piquet at the moment, so I think we'll see him going sort of 5th or 6th.
Sam just probably wants to do a lap at the moment with no drama. There we go.
6th place for Sam Bird. Now, what's Da Costa going to do? A good middle sector actually as well from Da Costa. This could be kind of approaching the top 3 for Antonio Felix Da Costa, the Amlin Aguri driver, coming towards the final corner now. He's had horrible qualifyings the last 2 times out. 20th and 19th he started on the grid, but it looks like it could be better this time around. 6th across the line. Not quite as lost about 3/10 in the final sector, so I wonder if there was a mistake at the chicane for Da Costa.
Daniel Abbs on a full 200 kilowatt lap. He's about to get traffic.
Yeah, he's got Nico Prost up in front of him. Prost does well to stay out of the way. D'Ambrosio's up there as well. And that's always the problem. If you try and, go at a different time, you're going to have traffic everywhere.
Absolutely. And as one of the guys said earlier, the track has got one line round it. If you go off that slightly, very, very dirty, and you lose all your grip.
Not a very strong lap this for Daniel Abt at the moment. A 10th down in Sector 1, a good 4/10ths down in Sector 2. So I think we're going to see him in the Sam Bird, Nico Prost region as he comes across the line. No, it's 6th place, so quicker than Da Costa. A good final sector for Daniel Abt, and he ends up less than a second down on Nelson Piquet. As now we calm down again before it all gets kicking off once more. There's the top 10 you can see on the left-hand side of the screen. And D'Ambrosio's now doing a 150 to get the temperatures back up again. But there's the order on the left-hand side at the moment.
Is he doing 2 cool-down laps between? Is this his second one? I think this might be his second cool-down.
Yes, this will be his second.
And he's further up the road than Nico Prost, who's just coming into view now.
So yeah, so they did 1 slowdown, and then 1 back up to speed, and then 1 full speed, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
So 1 mega slow, like crawling around like Daniel Abt. I think Bird's on a full speed lap by the looks of things. Yes, he is. So Sam Bird in the Virgin car, having another go, and he's just starting his flying lap now. So we'll keep an eye out on him. Yes, he's just come across the line and coming down towards turn 1. Nico Prost cruising, and here is Bird into turn 1 then.
Right on the edge, on the way in there on the brakes, you could hear it sliding.
Da Costa's on a quick lap too, and it's a good first sector from Sam Bird. Less than a 10th down of Nelson Piquet. Da Costa's just starting his flying lap as well. That's a very good first sector from Sam Bird in actual fact. 22.1.
I think Sam's frustration has been building. He's probably just absolutely got a bit of red mist in there right now.
Here he comes down towards the chicane. So it stopped well enough.
Nice through there, yeah.
So, but he's now 4/10ths of a second down after that middle sector, Sam Bird. Da Costa's done a pretty slow first sector, unfortunately for him, as Bird gets on the brakes into the left-hander. D'Ambrosio's just done the quickest first sector of anyone. So great lap from D'Ambrosio at the moment, but Prost has just bettered that. So that's going to be a fascinating battle as that progresses. Sam Bird goes 5th quickest at 10.365, but it's going to be the battle now between Prost and D'Ambrosio by the looks of things to try and take provisional pole position away. Here comes Da Costa. He's had a poor first sector and a very poor middle sector as well. So this is going to do nothing for the Portuguese driver. It's not been a good middle sector at all for Jerome D'Ambrosio. D'Ambrosio's nowhere. Prost is the man to watch as he comes through the final sector. This is D'Ambrosio, who's had a very slow middle sector, so I don't think we're going to see much of an improvement from him.
Here comes Prost into view. D'Ambrosio overdrove that last corner. You could hear it skipping on the brakes there.
Yeah, so he stays in 3rd position, but Nico Prost comes towards the final corner, across the line, and it's only 4th.
Oh,
a very slow final sector. It must have been maybe at the hairpin.
He did all the hard work, didn't he? The first 2 sectors there.
4th quickest for Nico Prost. Daniel Abt across the line, and he goes 5th quickest. And I think that completes all of our runners, doesn't it?
You went sector, you went purple in sector 1, but obviously the second.
Oh, well, that was, we were just hearing what Jay Penske was saying there, but didn't quite.
He was talking about the different sectors and where he lost time, I think.
Yeah, you said you went purple in sector 1 and then lost out in the rest. So there's Nico Prost, so close to getting provisional pole position, but he lost a good, we're talking 6 to 7/10ths of a second in the final sector.
Yeah, but that, as we talked about, those kinks and braking for that second last hairpin there in turn 11 is so tricky. And if you just try a little bit more, you see what happens. And it's that old tightrope they're on.
So this is Prost. This was him earlier on. That was a big one.
That was something else, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was great stuff from Nico Prost. But
I'm sure he wasn't thinking that at the time.
Well, yeah. We were thinking it was great. But yeah, whatever happened to him in that 3rd sector is the reason he's not on provisional pole position. Yeah, exactly. So that's the end of Q2. And there is the order on the left-hand side. Piquet Jr. holding on to that provisional pole position. But in the next group, we've got Lucas Di Grassi, very quick driver, but he's yet to have a pole position so far this season. We've also got Garcia, Verne, Duval, and Jarno Trulli. So this is how it stands after 2 qualifying segments here in Moscow. A wonderful venue and a wonderful circuit and a wonderful lap from Nelson Piquet Jr. He's currently on provisional pole position. Sebastian Buemi, second for Edam's. D'Ambrosio, third for the Dragon team. Another good qualifying performance from the Belgian. Prost and Abt completing the top 5, with Heidfeld third, Wilson, Da Costa and Alguersuari completing the rest of the runners. But we've still got half the field left to come. Jerome D'Ambrosio climbs out of his car. Third place for him. And again, just losing out. I think in the middle sector it was for D'Ambrosio. So that loop around Styria Square is where, and he doesn't look over the moon as Di Grassi gets ready to go out in qualifying Group 3. Loic Duval, Jarno Trulli, Lucas Di Grassi, Jean-Eric Verne and Antonio Garcia. Garcia making his return to FIA Formula E after he competed in the second race of the season in Putrajaya, and he ended up finishing 11th in that race. No, sorry, Punta del Este it was, third race of the season. But there's D'Ambrosio, third for him at the moment.
He does not look happy, does he?
No.
No, I think at this point, Loic Duval just wants the session here in qualifying without some drama. I mean, you see what happened to him this morning. As you said, 3 times in the barrier. He's just needs to settle down here and get a couple of laps, and even one lap without some drama. And there we go.
What a wonderful scene this is as well, as the fans start to come in here in Moscow. St. Basil's Cathedral there on the right-hand side, built by Ivan the Terrible after his various war victories. And hopefully it won't be Loic the Terrible after he's had 2 crashes so far today. He'll be hoping to have a clean session, as Dario says. And he'll be out on track pretty soon. But he's looked quick. When he had his first crash this morning, he was, I think, purple in the first 2 sectors before he went into the wall, certainly the first sector. So he'll be hoping that he can find that pace and improve on it somewhat. As we look there between Red Square, the Cathedral, and then the pit lane on the right-hand side. Stunning stuff. So we can now hear from Jerome D'Ambrosio. Didn't look particularly over the moon. He's now talking to Nicky Shields in Parc Fermé.
Jerome D'Ambrosio, currently in third. That's your best qualifying position so far. But you're looking a bit disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, well, disappointed. You know, it's not a bad lap for sure. The first lap was actually really good. Second lap, I had a great first sector and then a little bit of a moment in the second one. You know, track's very bumpy and went a little bit wide, and got caught by a bump, and that's, you know, not only I lost in that corner, but then the following one. So it's okay. It'll be an interesting race for sure. I mean, the track's really a challenge, and so yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And currently 5th in the standings now, so very much joined the leading pack. How much on your mind is actually winning this championship now?
As I always said, you know, I mean, for me, it's clearly, I take it race by race. You know, I don't like to think too much about what's going to happen at the end in London. The only way I can get a good result in the end is to make sure I focus on what's happening now, on the present, and now it's Moscow. That was qualifying. Now we'll focus on the race and take it bit by bit.
Good luck. Thank you.
Jerome D'Ambrosio qualified 3rd in Monaco. So if he can hold on to 3rd here, that'll equal his best performance of the season so far. And he'll be very much hoping he can. How true is that, Dario? You've won, you know, a couple of championships in your time, more through luck than judgment. But
absolutely.
But do you take it race by race? Is that true, or?
Yeah.
Really?
I always did. I always just try to get the best out of every single session, every single weekend, and you can't look too far ahead. And those that do and try and come up with a strategy normally end up in trouble. So he's got absolutely the right attitude there, in my opinion.
Okay, so this is Lucas Di Grassi, who apparently has been on the team radio saying his first full lap power at 200 is going to be, you know, a bit of a banker lap, and then the second lap he's going to go and take some risks. So that's Lucas Di Grassi's theory by the sounds of it. That's what he's been saying over the team radio to the Audi Sport Abt squad, who are currently battling over 2nd place in the championship. Jaime Alguersuari has been asked to go and see the race director after qualifying, so maybe for a little bit of that incident with Sebastian Buemi. That'll be his 2nd time going to see the race director in as many qualifying sessions. The visor goes down on Loic Duval, the 32-year-old Frenchman. It's his birthday next week, actually, on the 12th of June, where he'll become 33. As out goes Lucas de Grassi, the man third in the championship, 10 points off the lead as Q3 gets underway. And now out goes Duval.
I mean, Duval's got to feel pretty good seeing his teammate in P3 right now.
Yeah.
Or that might spur him on even more.
Loic Duval, Jarno Trulli, Lucas de Grassi, Jean-Eric Verne and Antonio Garcia, the 5 drivers out there on the course. This is the run up towards turn 2. And then before it all gets kind of tight. And D'Ambrosio saying he lost it on a bump, which affected that corner and then the next corner. So I wonder if that was here at 2, because that's the sort of corner that will then affect you for the next couple of, or maybe even at 3 actually, 3 into 4. But
yeah, if you lose it in 3 over that huge crest that we talked about, you're really messing up 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 7. It's just such a momentum track, and these are such momentum cars that yeah, even a little bit of those mistakes, they just multiply.
Jarno Trulli out in this one as well, as he looks to take his 2nd pole position in a row. I think it'll be tougher for them here. It was such an unusual circuit in Berlin that it really played into the hands of the Trulli car. Antonio Liuzzi would have finished 4th or 5th were it not for a pit stop problem. As de Grassi comes through the final corner then, and across the line to start his flying lap. That's where the timing line is as he comes out now onto the start line. And, well, this won't be his full power flying lap, actually, will it? He won't be going at the full 200. This will be his 2nd build-up lap, I should say.
Nice and easy, nice coasting into turn 1 there. So he's, yeah,
it's like you're on board this.
Exactly. Well, he's a bit closer to the wall than I was. So he's not quite as straight as I was down the straight, though, but thanks, Jack.
So Piquet Jr., the quickest man so far, 1 minute 9.449. Massively quicker than anyone else at the moment. So can anyone get anywhere near Nelson Piquet in these final 2 groups? You'd have to say that if it's going to come, it's going to be maybe in this one. Daniel Abt, qualified 5th at the moment, 0.6 of a second down on Piquet.
Yeah, but the thing here to put the lap together is...
It's a big lap. Big lap.
That's interesting hearing that. The drivers, Jerome D'Ambrosio, they're saying to put a lap together here is so hard because every corner's tricky. And even de Grassi there, now he's turned it up to 200, I imagine, coming through that flat out part in order to get ready for the lap he's about to do, having a bit of a lock-up by the sounds of it.
I think he just turned up to 200 between the 2 hairpins. Here we go now.
Here he comes across the line then, down into the left-hander and out onto embankment.
Just a bit of oversteer there coming off, leading on this long, long straight. Watch how early he gets back to power when he brakes. Back to power now.
Miles before he even gets to the corner.
He's a little later than other guys, I have to say. I mean, showing up 2.5 tenths off. Watch the car take off just at the brakes. Difficult to slow it down. Not too wide because you're setting up for 3.
He did say this lap would be a bit of a banker one at 200 kilowatts.
Building momentum, this is what we talked about. Flat all the way up here, over the bumps. Don't lift over that bump and then set yourself up for braking for this very tricky chicane here. Load a curb on both those. Stare at the wall and exit. And watch this bump right here. Look at that. Right where you don't want it. And then trying to brake, trying to stop the rear coming round on you, while still getting stopped for the apex of 11.
De Grassi still the quickest man out there at the moment of the 5 drivers who are on the circuit. Through the final corner and across the line, and it's 2nd straight away from Lucas de Grassi. A monster final sector, 24.0, wow. And he's now 0.2 of a second from Piquet, on board with Duval.
Final sector was mighty.
Yeah, and we've also had Jean-Eric Verne go quickest in sector 1. The fastest first sector of anyone. So that means Jerome D'Ambrosio on the left-hand side, he can head off because he's not going to be in the top 3. Here is Verne now. He's almost 0.2 up on the middle sector. So this is great stuff from Jean-Eric Verne, looking to take another pole position. He's had 2 so far in Punta del Este and in Miami. Jarno Trulli goes up to 8th place. Verne now into the final corner. He's looking strong. Has he got enough to depose Piquet at the top? Through the final corner, into the wall, and into provisional pole. Great driving from Jean-Eric Verne. Just 0.02 of a second between him and Nelson Piquet.
That might have been a French swear word there. That was great.
Was it good enough for pole?
Yeah, you have provisional pole right now. You're fastest overall sector 1, looking for a little bit in sector 2 and sector 3.
Sebastian Buemi.
Touch the wall.
Yes.
Last corner. Very small.
Yes, you did, Jean-Eric. So that is provisional pole position for Jean-Eric Verne. And Buemi and D'Ambrosio head off because they know they're not needed in the top 3 anymore.
On his first lap.
Yeah.
The question is, does he put it all together or does he overdrive it now on lap 2? It's so much easier in the commentary booth than actually in the car.
You just go a bit quicker.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what you have to say. So
Nelson's feeling lonely now.
Yeah. Maybe he'll be joined by Lucas in a bit. So did he?
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
He did. That'll knock the toe out. What he did, he understeered at the apex and then just snapped into oversteer to avoid it. To avoid the wall and ended up collecting it with the left rear.
So here's Lucas Di Grassi coming through the first sector split, and he's on a full power lap, and he's 3.5 tenths of a second down after sector 1 alone, which, as we've said, is, I say only 2 corners. They're tricky corners, but nevertheless, that's not what you want to see Di Grassi doing, because he's pushing hard. A 22.2 in sector 1 isn't too bad.
Yeah, but it's going to be tough to make up anything, isn't it? You've got to have all those 3 sectors, I would say, almost perfect.
He's now 4 tenths of a second down, Di Grassi. They're personal bests in both sectors. He's 4 tenths. It was the final sector then that really hooked him up last time, because he's 4 tenths down, but going quicker than he did when he's managed to be 2 tenths down. That's not particularly well explained, but he's very neat and tidy through the final few corners. So can he improve? Through the final corner comes the Brazilian. Is he going to remain in 3rd place? Yes, he is, and doesn't improve on his lap time either. So it's 3rd at the moment for Lucas Di Grassi, and that's his session over. Antonio Garcia's about to come across the line now. He jumps up to 12th place, quicker than Da Costa and Alguersuari. Loic Duval is just starting his flyer. Jean-Eric Verne is out there again. What's Verne done in sector 1? A 22.0. Another very quick first sector, but he's got Jarno Trulli up in front of him. On the brakes into the chicane. Is Trulli still there? Or did... I think he might... No, he just went
nice
straight
work.
on. Well
Nice
done
work.
from Jarno Trulli.
Yeah.
But Verne's middle sector is not quite as quick as he managed previously, but he's got time to find in the final sector. That's what his engineer told him.
Middle and final, I think he said.
And first, if you can find any.
He
Through
was
the final corner
properly
comes
sideways into the chicane, though.
Jean-Eric Verne across the line. Any improvement? No. 3 tenths of a second slower, but he's still on provisional pole position. Duval's done a decent sector 1. Here is the Dragon Racer coming out through the left-hand kink at 10. His middle sector is okay. This could see Duval jump up sort of into the top 5 and challenge his teammate. His teammate D'Ambrosio's in 5. Oh.
He completely shut off. Did he hit the switch? Or did something fail?
That is gutting for Loic Duval.
He did all the hard work.
He looked like he was going to end up in the top 10 there. No one else is on a lap, so this isn't affecting anyone else on the circuit.
Very dangerous, though. Car parked right in the centre of the track at the exit of a blind corner.
Di Grassi comes in, parks up 3rd place, but a real shame for Loic Duval because he was looking strong. And don't see that very often.
Just one of those days for him, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, that's true. He's got going again, look, and he's parked in behind Lucas Di Grassi. But personal bests in sectors 1 and 2 for Loic Duval. But it looks as though he's going to be starting at the back of the grid, frankly, because he's 15th out of 15 so far. And that is gutting. But the other Frenchman, Jean-Eric Verne, is pretty over the moon, I'd imagine. Now here's Duval coming into the chicane, and he's locked up the front left there. But he was still looking quick.
Tell you what, 10 out of 10 for commitment from this boy.
Yeah.
He'd been in the barrier there this morning, and by doing this, didn't perturb him at all. Yeah.
So, there's Jarno Trulli walking back to his garage. 9th place for Trulli, which is not too bad, actually. I could see him maybe not quite in the top 10, but certainly in the top 15. As Lucas Di Grassi waits for his mate. Nelson Piquet waits for his mate Di Grassi to turn up.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting conversation. Those two haven't been getting on quite as well as they maybe once did.
Jean-Eric Verne, though, is the man on provisional pole position. A great lap from Verne, really impressive stuff.
He's a bit good, isn't he?
Yes, he is, just a little bit. So one group still to go here in qualifying ahead of the Moscow E-Prix, and it's Jean-Eric Verne who has taken provisional pole position, 0.02 of a second quicker than Nelson Piquet Jr. Third on the grid, Lucas de Grassi. Fourth is Sebastian Buemi. Fifth is Jerome D'Ambrosio for the Dragon team. Trulli and Bird completing the top 10. Then Justin Wilson in 11th place at the moment. 0.9 of a second slower than his teammate Jean-Eric Verne. Garcia, Da Costa, Alguersuari completing the top 14. And Loic Duval, a real shame for him. He's going to be in 15th position, but we've still got 5 drivers left here in qualifying. De Grassi sits down, leaves a gap for Jean-Eric to sit in. And not much chatting. As,
and obviously they're both speaking Portuguese, so there's not a language barrier there.
There is the Moskva River. And we can now hear from Lucas de Grassi, who's currently in 3rd place. Didn't quite get it hooked up on that second lap. He's talking to Nicky.
So Lucas de Grassi, provisional P3 at the moment. Were you pleased with that run?
Oh, it seems you are on pole, right, Nicky? You're sitting in the middle. I am. I did a mistake on my second lap, so in the end, just the first lap was an okay one. Was not the perfect lap, but I think it's easy to prove to anyone that you know, the car is still the same after what happened in Berlin. Actually, we just have some new parts in the car, so maybe it's actually a little bit faster, but it's going to be a good race. We are in a strong position now, P3. Let's see if it stays this way with the last group. But yes, so far I'm pleased.
And just 10 points behind championship leader Nelson Piquet. How important is a win here today in Moscow?
You know, when you are behind, you have you can take more risks than you were leading. I was leading most of it, most of the championship, and because of Berlin, I lost it. But yeah, when you're P3 or in the championship, you can take more risks, and that's what we're going to do today.
Well, good luck. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Lucas de Grassi there, 3rd place. A bit frustrated with that, but nevertheless, he's going to have a strong race, because it'll be at least 3rd and probably very 3rd by the looks of it, as we get ready for the racing. And that's quite a view from the EJ, looking out over the Kremlin with the St Basil's Cathedral behind. But Jean-Eric Verne on provisional pole position then at the moment. The Frenchman first, Piquet second. And I'm just looking through my notes here, because I'm pretty sure that they started 1st and 2nd on the grid before Verne and Piquet in Punta del Este. Yes, they did. In fact, both times Verne's been on pole, Piquet has started 2nd. So the only time Piquet and Verne have been on the front row this year, it's been Verne first, Piquet 2nd. What
they were saying about Verne, the Andretti guys, is obviously the speed was there right from the start. The biggest thing he had a problem with was the regen. And you could see in a couple of the races he led, he was already behind in the amount of power he had left. So he's mastered that now by all accounts, and he'll be ready to do battle today wherever he starts.
It's going to be towards the front, there's no doubt about that, because we've only got 5 drivers left to come, and they will be heading out onto the circuit in a couple of moments' time. These sessions all run to a set time, and then they start at specific intervals. As you see the walls of the Kremlin there on the right-hand side, an incredible building, the Kremlin, a fortress inside a city. There are lots of Kremlins in various cities around Russia. Kremlin just literally means a sort of fortress inside a city. So there's one in St. Petersburg, there was one in all the cities, but obviously this is the Kremlin. Salvador Duran is getting ready to go out, along with the two Mahindras of Karun Handruk and Bruno Senna, Tonio Liuzzi in the Trulli car, and Stefan Sarazan in the Venturi. Now, Senna and Sarazan, I think, for me, are going to be the men to watch in this, because Senna was the quickest man of anyone in free practice 1 on 150 kilowatts of power. Didn't quite manage to get it hooked up on his full power run in free practice 2, but if he can do here, he's going to be a contender for the top 5, in my opinion. And Stefan Sarazan as well could be there or thereabouts. This is on board with Tonio Liuzzi, as he has a nice pit lane view as he gets ready to pull out. A great pole position for the Trulli guys last time, but they couldn't figure out in Berlin why Jarno Trulli was just hemorrhaging energy, whereas Liuzzi was able to keep it all in control pretty well. Congratulations all around back there. And Verne sits in the middle on the provisional pole position seat as we start the final qualifying segment here in Moscow. Both of the Mahindras go out together, as will Tonio Liuzzi there, Stefan Sarazan and Salvador Duran making their way down the pit lane and out onto the circuit for the final 10 minutes of qualifying.
This reminds me about one of the discoveries of driving a Formula E car this morning. Normally, when you're on the racetrack and a bird comes up, the noise makes them go away. Not with a Formula E car, they just stand and look at it as it goes past.
Let's hear from our provisional pole sitter, Jean-Eric Verne.
So, Jean-Eric Verne, provisional pole. Do you think you've done enough to make this your third pole of the season?
Well, I think all the strong drivers from what I saw this morning were in Group 1, 2 and 3. So let's see what happens in Group 4, but I'm pretty happy with what we've done. I was really close with Nelson, and I think we're going to have a nice race.
Thanks very much.
Guys, the two of you have fan boost, I don't.
That's what Jean-Eric Verne sits down and said to Piquet and Degrassi. Have you two got fan boost? We won't know for a good 3 hours until the fan boost announcement is made, but there's a high chance they're running towards the front of the fan boost votings at the moment.
Well, he's already just disparaged a quarter of the field there with his comment about all the good guys going already.
Yeah. Oh, there's Karun Chandok going wide at the hairpin. He's had 2 spins so far there today as they come through the final corner and across the line, still running at the low speed at the moment. 150 kilowatts of power before they turn it up to 200. 150 is also the maximum they have available in the race, unless you have the fan boost, which gives you an extra 30 kilowatts, which is equivalent to about 40 brake horsepower for 5 seconds.
And having experienced the difference between 200 and 150 today, it's massive. What a difference it must make.
So, out on the circuit are the cars. Tonio Liuzzi out there too. It was great to see Tonio performing so strongly in Berlin last time out. The Trulli team really starting to get on top of the car after being a late entry, of course, because that was initially a Drayson Racing entry, and then, you know, quite a long way through the process, the Trulli team took it over, and Tonio Liuzzi, the 1995 World Karting Champion. No, sorry, he was second in the 1995 World Karting Championship. It was Trulli who won the World Karting Championship in '91. But Formula 3000 champion as well, Tonio Liuzzi, 80 Formula 1 starts to his name, very quick racing driver. As I say that, he's crawling at 1 mile an hour through the chicanes. It doesn't quite look like it, but it'll be good to see what he can do. But now here comes Stefan Sarazan, still on a 150 lap as he comes into the left-hander. But Bruno Senna, you can see when it flashes to green, that means they are on a full power lap. So Bruno Senna and Karun Chandok across the line are going full power for Mahindra. Bruno Senna into turn 1. Whoa, big lock-up on the front left. Gets it in, though.
Yeah. Oh, and a bit of oversteer on the way out. So that was an action-packed corner there for Bruno.
Yeah. Through the first sector split, he comes half a second down.
That's a chunk, isn't it? One corner.
Chandok is 0.8 of a second down. But the field is quite spread out today. Well, actually, you've still got the top 11 covered by less than a second, so maybe it's not quite that spread out. As Senna comes up through the right-hander at the top of the hill towards the chicane. He's got a Stefan Sarazan up in front of him. He's 0.9 of a second down now, Bruno Senna.
Karun Chandok behind him is really struggling. He was a further 0.3 slower than Bruno through the first sector.
Yeah, and this is all going to get a bit tight into the hairpin here. Chandok's 8.5 seconds down in the middle sector, so he must have made a mistake somewhere.
Possibly aborted the lap.
But if you abort the lap, you still have to, that still counts as one of your 2 laps. So we'll see what happens. So Senna comes across the line to go 14th. Sarazan is now on a full power lap. So is Tonio Liuzzi. Liuzzi coming across the line now in the Trulli car. And where's this going to put him? 17th for Tonio. His teammate Jarno up in 9th at the moment. Here's Salvador Duran with, guess what, another new helmet. Every week the Mexican brings a new lid as he swings it out of the final corner. This one's only slightly different, though, but still, it is a bit different, and he goes 14th.
That's not, I mean, it looked pretty untidy through that second last hairpin, so not bad.
No, just, well, 22 hundredths less fast than his teammate Antonio Felix da Costa. So that's a good effort from Duran. Yeah, I know. I got myself tangled up in the words there a little bit.
That happens to me a lot, as you've probably noticed.
Sarrazin is 0.6 of a second down after the first 2 sectors in the Venturi car. So this could put him up into the top 10 if he can really hook up the final sequence of corners.
Not a great exit there. Chose to carry the speed through the middle of the corner instead of the exit. Let's see.
Out through the final turn across the line. It is 10th, so just about the top 10 for Stefan Sarrazin. But still, those three are looking pretty impenetrable at the top of the grid positions at the moment. Now here's Karun Chandok. Oh my goodness, he lost it there.
That is the last place on this track you want to lose it, I would say. Great 360 job.
Yeah.
I mean, get a job as a stunt driver after that one.
Yeah. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. It would have been good if he'd have just carried straight on. Oh my goodness.
Did you see? It must have just bottomed on that manhole cover. And off you go.
So, shake of the hat from Dilbag Gill. Yep, he spun Dilbag. And so it's a 20th place at the moment. Alejandro Agag there, the CEO of Формula, coming to congratulate our provisional pole sitters. Chandok's turned it up again. So has Duran. And so is Liuzzi. Everyone, the other guys are all taking it slow. So this is Bruno Senna. So he's not going quick. He's one of the guys out there. He's the only guy out there, actually, that's not on a flying lap, Bruno Senna.
Karun's had a better segment 1 now. 22.3.
And here he is. Now let's see if he can keep it pointing in the same direction, up through the right-hander.
She's still a bit twitchy through there.
Yeah. What's his middle sector going to be? And through the timer he comes now, less than a second down. So this should improve his lap. Well, it will improve his lap time because he's 11.5 seconds off the pace after that first lap. But could, oh my goodness!
I've never seen, he was much wider than anybody else. But we've discovered a new bump.
He's found the bump. Yeah. Into the hairpin. Now one more turn to go for Karun Chandok, the Indian racer, about to come across the line. And where's this going to put him? 16th position. Salvador Duran is going to come through across the line too, so is Tonio Liuzzi. Liuzzi through the final corner and across the line. No, he's slow, so he must have made a mistake.
No, car looks like it's tracking okay.
Through the left-hander he comes. But he was certainly on a full power lap, I'm pretty sure.
Sarrazin.
Here's Stefan Sarrazin, 7/10 down. So I don't think this is going to be an improvement for Sarrazin. He's slower than he was on his first flyer. Through the final turn, Senna's done a good first sector, 22.2 for Bruno Senna, and Salvador Duran has jumped up into 11th place, out-qualifying his teammate Antonio Felix da Costa. That's a really good lap from Duran. Sarrazin remains in 10th place, but improves his lap time a little bit. Now here comes Bruno Senna. What's his middle sector been like? A 23.6. That's not bad. This could be top 10 for Bruno Senna. Not that neat in the hairpin.
A little slow off again.
Into the final corner comes Senna, across the line. Is it going to be top 10? No, it's 16th. Horrible final sector, lost 0.6 of a second to the likes of Sarrazin and Duran. So
16th and 17th.
And Dilbag Gill, the team manager there, can't quite believe it. So
what do we do now?
I think that means we've got everyone through. Yes, we have. So it's pole position for the 3rd time
because they forgot my suit.
For Jean-Eric Verne.
He just said he forgot his suit this weekend, so he must have a different one.
So Jean-Eric Verne will start on pole position for the Moscow E-Prix later on today. Piquet just 0.02 of a second behind, and those two have started on the front row together now for 3 races. De Grassi 3rd, but yet Buemi 4th. So we've got 2nd, 3rd and 4th, our top 3 in the championship. Then we got Abt, Heidfeld, Trulli in the top 9, so that performance in Berlin, not a one-off for the Trulli team because they're now comfortably up inside the top 10. Stefan Sarrazin 10th, Durand 11th, Bird in 12th. But we can now hear from Jean-Eric Verne, his 3rd pole position of the season. He's talking to Nicky.
So Jean-Eric Verne, you did do enough for a provisional pole.
Yeah, it's good. I'm really happy. I think it's good for the team. The last couple of races were not really good and not really quick, so it's good to be on pole, good for the race, but now everything has to be done in the race.
And what do you think the difference is in the last few races from today?
Well, I think there were some couple of things that needed to be fixed within the team, but obviously this has been done, so I'm pretty happy with the job they have done.
And a very exciting track to be racing on as well, lots of twists and turns.
Yeah, it is extremely interesting. I mean, to race between the Kremlin, the KGB in Moscow, it's pretty awesome. The track is really nice, also really bumpy, but you know, it's good fun to race in here.
Thanks very much.
Pole position for Jean-Eric Vergne for the third time this season. That makes him the most poled driver of the year so far. Not sure if that's a phrase, but I'm coining it, if not, as we look over the Moscow skyline, the business district in the background, and the Moskva River here. So let's hear from Nelson Piquet, championship leader, starting second on the grid ahead of his rivals.
Nelson Piquet Jr., well, we're back to a traditional street circuit, and it looks like you're back in your comfort zone.
Yeah, for sure. It was very close qualifying, you know. I wouldn't even consider that a difference, you know, less than half a tenth. So, no, it shows that we're strong, that we're back in what we like. The car feels good over here. It's what we've been working the whole year on setup on these kind of tracks, bumpy tracks, tight little corners, no grip. So, yeah, I'm happy. First roll, and that's what we needed to have a good strategy for the race.
And how important is qualifying here? I mean, is overtaking going to be that possible?
Overtaking is really hard, you know. I would say close to Monaco. Monaco is really hard as well. So I think it's maybe not as hard as Monaco, but it's going to be a tough place to overtake. So for sure, a good qualifying position was very important for us.
Now, I did hear you mention that you might trade your fan boost with Jean-Eric Vergne for pole. Did he agree to that?
No, unfortunately not. It would have been good to get a few more points and just try to extend the lead in the championship.
Thanks very much.
Nelson Piquet Jr. starting in second position on the grid then, later on today. Yet to take a pole position, Piquet, but he's now had 3 front row starts, all in second spot. Third place for Lucas de Grassi. And we can now hear from that particular Brazilian. He's going to be starting in third place on the grid, looking for a better result than Berlin.
Lucas de Grassi, we saw an incredibly commanding race from you in Berlin. Do you think we can see the same again today?
I think much more difficult here. The track is much more difficult to overtake. So in any case, it's important for us to be on the top 3 to show that the car is the same. Berlin was nothing wrong with the car. There was no performance advantage whatsoever. We did win that race. It was a genuine win. It was taken out from us because of very surprising decision from FIA on a minor repair that personally I never seen in any category that I raced before, somebody disqualified because of something like that. So it was a very big surprise, but in any case, that was the decision that's behind us. We have to look for the race here, and starting on P3, it's promising. We are on the clean side of the starting line, and for sure we're gonna attack.
And some of the drivers have actually referred to the track here in Moscow as a bit of a mini Macau, and you've actually had success there in Macau. Do you think that'll help you here?
Yeah, I won Macau in 2005 and finished third in 2004. So it was good memories, fighting with Kubica and Vettel at that time, sharing the podium with them. And now we are here in Formula E, completely different scenario, but similar track layout, similar cars. Yeah, I think the fight is going to be a very good one.
And with just, you know, this is the third in the last of the championship, you must now really be thinking of the championship fight.
If I was my 18 points in front, yes, but I'm 10 points behind. So actually I don't have much to lose at the moment. We have to take the risks. We have to take the best out of it and yeah, just go for it.
Well, thanks very much. Good luck.
So Lucas de Grassi will start in third place on the grid. Is it healthy to be kind of so fixated on what happened in Berlin, or is it best to just try and move on and not bring it up every time?
I would say it depends how you get motivated. Some people need a bit of conflict to get motivated, others it just sort of eats away at them. He's clearly still upset by the whole thing and feels he was wronged, but the other teams probably feel that justice was served. I mean, ultimately the rules are the rules, and you know, I've had those situations where sometimes you just can't let go of something, especially as the championships coming to a climax here. So I'm sure he'll be when the lights go green today, his mind will be clear.
Di Grassi making his way back down the pit lane then after a strong qualifying session. Another top 3 start, his 4th of the season. Jean-Eric Vergne will start the 9th round of the championship on pole ahead of the 2 Brazilian title rivals Nelson Piquet Jr. and Lucas Di Grassi, with Sebastian Buemi second in the championship, 4th on the grid. It's a fantastic setup for the race later on. Jerome D'Ambrosio, the dark horse for the title, is darkly lurking in 5th position. Nico Prost is in 6th spot. Abt, Heidfeld, Trulli and Sarrazin completing the top 10. Another good performance from Jarno Trulli in qualifying. Salvador Duran is in 11th position for Amlin Aguri, and a really strong performance from Duran. That is his joint best qualifying of the season so far, along with Monaco, where he also started 11th. Tonio Liuzzi completes the top 20, just behind Loic Duval. So these are the championship standings going into the 9th race of the season. Buemi is leading the championship ahead of Nelson Piquet. Okay, so that apologies about that. That graphic was wrong because Sebastian Buemi didn't take pole position. So he is still second in the standings, just 2 points behind Nelson Piquet Jr. Lucas Di Grassi still in 3rd on 93. And we can now speak to Jerome D'Ambrosio, 5th on the grid, but won last week. He's talking to Nicky.
Jerome D'Ambrosio, after your win in Berlin, you kind of joined the front runners now. Do you think you can get on the podium today from 5th?
Well, I hope so. I won the race from 6th last time, so hopefully we can be back on the podium today. We're really, I mean, everything's going well. We had a good qualifying. The first lap was really good. Second lap, I did a mistake, so I think there was some more there. But it's for everyone the same, I think. You know, the track's really challenging.
And do you think the weather could play a role in the race this evening? This evening? This afternoon?
Afternoon, yeah. I think, yeah, definitely. I mean, we've had some rain before qualifying, and you know, it's gonna be, you know, it would be exciting this series. You know, if it rains, you just stay out and just drive because you don't change tires. So that would be something for the fans to enjoy, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And also, are you going to be pushing to get, you know, there are obviously extra points available for fastest lap in the race?
Yeah, definitely. I think that, you know, it's quite interesting to see. I mean, Vergne's on pole. He takes the 3 points, and he's not one of the guys that's really fighting for the championship, I think. So that's good, but we're all, you know, Piquet, Di Grassi, me, Buemi, and Prost, we're all right there. So that's going to be an interesting one.
Absolutely. Good luck. Thanks very much.
It is a shame that actually Jean-Eric Vergne isn't in the championship hunt, because he only missed the first 2 races of the year, but since then he's had 3 retirements in the 6 races he's competed in. So if he hadn't had those, then it would have been very strong. So there is the Moscow circuit. The marshals out sweeping it, but it's a little bit bumpy here and there. As a look at Jean-Eric Vergne as they flash into turn 10, it is, I mean, that's a proper spine shaker, isn't it?
Absolutely. Look at that, front wheels off the ground.
This is Daniel Abt now into the left-hander of 10.
I want to know what happened to
God,
Duval.
that was all 4 wheels.
You see
now
that?
Let's see what Antonio Felix da Costa does. Through the left, he's going to hit some manhole cover, isn't it?
There you go. Up.
Whoa, goodness me.
That's pretty cool.
It's phenomenal. I haven't seen that since Formula 1 cars at the Nordschleife back in the day, going through old Flugplatz. Let's hear now from Jay Penske from Dragon. Another good qualifying performance from them. D'Ambrosio's 5th on the grid.
Now, Jay Penske, you guys had a great win in Berlin. You had another win for the Penske family in Indy. Can you do it again here in Moscow?
Well, certainly Loic's got his work cut out for him starting near the back, but Jerome, the car feels good. A lot of progress has been made over the weekend from the first practice. Yeah, that was a very special weekend for the family, and we had a lot of celebrating at home, so it was a very special time.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, guys.
A very successful weekend for Jay Penske, as Juan Pablo Montoya defeated everyone else at Indy and took victory for his dad Roger.
That was his 16th win. It was Roger Penske's 16th Indianapolis 500 win.
Really? That's astonishing.
It's pretty good. Although I would have been much happier had Scott Dixon won it. But
yeah.
Montoya drove a fantastic race and definitely deserved it.
So now we've got some electric stunt bike action to keep the fans entertained ahead of the race, which will be getting underway, well, in exactly 3 hours' time. We'll be about halfway around the first lap. But let's first of all have a little look back at that qualifying session ahead of round 9 of the championship. What a thriller it was here in Moscow. So, the Russian flags were set as Nelson Piquet Jr. went out onto the circuit in the first group of qualifying, struggled to get it turned in, but he did end up on provisional pole position. Sebastian Buemi couldn't match him and ended about 3.5 tenths of a second slower. Jaime Alguersuari made a mistake here and there, and as a result, he's going to be starting 18th on the grid. Big moment there for Sebastian Buemi coming up the hill as his teammate Nico Prost watched on. And Prost then had the chance to get out onto the circuit and was sliding his car around and was pretty much sort of riding it, coming through the right-hander. Looked like a fucking Bronco he was on as he came over the hill and tried to keep in control. Jerome D'Ambrosio had a strong qualifying performance, ended the session 5th quickest, which will please Jay Penske, and certainly did please Jay Penske there. A big round of applause for his driver. Antonio Felix da Costa would have probably been quicker if he'd have kept all 4 wheels on the ground, but he only managed 15th position. Loic Duval managed to keep out of the wall, a little bit of a lock-up coming into the chicane, but Duval ended up in 19th place after his car shut down, seemingly coming towards the final corner. Stefan Sarrazin was pushing hard. He is completing the top 10. Then out came Lucas Di Grassi, the man who feels so wronged after his disqualification in Berlin last time out. He could only manage 3rd place on the grid, and much to the disappointment of Hans-Jürgen Abt there. Jarno Trulli, another strong qualifying performance from him. He started in 9th place, but no one could match Jean-Eric Vergne. He will be starting on pole position for the first ever Formula E race in Moscow, around the streets outside the Kremlin. And there were the Andretti men watching on, and a shame for the Abt squad, who will see Di Grassi start in 3rd place. Vergne gets a congratulation from his front row compatriots. A big spin for Karun Chandhok in the final group as he was pushing hard. He will start down in 17th place. And a bit of a grimace there from Dilbagh Gill. This was the onboard view of Chandhok's rotation. Probably the worst place on the track to have a spin, but he managed to keep it all together after a full 360. Senna was hustling his car through the final corners, but lost an awful lot of time in the 3rd sector, and as a result, he will start in 16th position on the grid. Again, a shake of the head in the Mahindra garage. So it's pole position for Jean-Eric Vergne, his 3rd pole position of the season so far, but he will have Piquet, Di Grassi and Buemi, the 3 championship contenders, starting right up behind him. So here's a look at the championship standings as we go into the 9th race of 11. Nelson Piquet Jr. topping the standings, 2 points clear of Sebastian Buemi in 2nd place. Then it's 10 points back to Lucas Di Grassi. Jean-Eric Vergne is now on 43 points, just 2 behind Antonio Felix da Costa. He's in 8th place in the championship still, but he picked up 3 points for pole position. Further down the order, Loic Duval will have his work cut out to try and score points from 19th on the grid. Daniel Abt there in 12th spot. Nick Heidfeld is starting in 8th position on the grid, so he'll be hoping he can climb in from 18th in the championship, I should say. The car's now in Parc Fermé ahead of the race, which will be getting underway in less than 3 hours' time. Make sure you join us for it. It's going to be an absolutely splendid race around the streets of Moscow. It's a wonderful circuit, and it's so difficult for the drivers to hook up all the laps together. We're going to see a lot of mistakes, we're going to see a lot of action, and we're going to see a lot of changes in terms of the championship fight at the top of the order. It's Piquet Jr. who leads the championship, but he's only 2nd on the grid. It's Jean-Eric Vergne for Andretti, who will be on pole for round 9 of Formula E later on.
When the lightning strikes, let's stand together. When the moment comes, let's stand as one.